It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast, your 20-minute boost to reclaim and refocus your energy. Get ready to have bursts of clarity, a boost of confidence, and the practical steps you need to make gutsy moves forward. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. If you're actively making a change in your life or in your business, you're in the middle of something. The middle of a pivot, the middle of a reinvention, the middle of a shift happening. You're not where you used to be, but you're not yet where you want to be. And all of that stuff is starting to get overwhelming. Where do I focus? What do I do next? You're staring at your to-do list and your emails and the post-it notes that you have stuck all over the wall. It starts to feel like too much, and your body naturally wants to shut down. If this is the space you're in, or maybe it's just a familiar space that you've been in before, and you want to know how to kick the overwhelm before it takes over so that you can continue in this pivot, change, or reinvention, then today's Powerback episode is for you. I'm going to teach you an incredibly simple question to ask yourself so that you know how to focus so that you can keep moving. This episode is inspired by a conversation that I had with one of the women inside of the Gutsy Collective. This is a coaching-based community where women are gearing up to make their next move. They're building their self-confidence. They're getting clarity around who they are and what they actually want. They're practicing making their next steps in their life, in their business, in their relationships, in their health. And they're learning how to trust themselves to make decisions that put their needs first. They are making the moves that they've been talking about for months, sometimes even years. If you're resonating with that, if you are right on the edge of wanting to make a shift in your life or in your career, and you're saying, I just wish I had the right people around me to support me, guide me, and hear me as I'm doing this, the Gutsy Collective is for you. Go to LauraAura.com and click on the Gutsy Collective to start your free 30-day trial. I think that we can all most certainly relate to the space where you're actively in something, right? Like you're making a move, you're already a few steps in, you've already decided, right? You're in motion, okay? Things are happening. And then all of a sudden things stack up around you. Like you're looking at your to-do list, or your emails are off the charts, or your notifications are wild, or the post-it notes have taken over your office or your bathroom mirror. And it's like, okay, I can see what I want to do. I've committed to doing the thing that I want or need to do, but all of it is getting really noisy. Now, I want to put a little bit of an asterisk in here. We always have to make sure to ask ourselves, do I need rest? Okay. Today I'm talking about an action. So I'm not going to dig into the piece of rest and all that stuff, but I do want to make sure that we talk about that for a second, because it's not always about doing more. It's not always about pushing or having productivity in a form of action. Okay. Rest is important. Rest is productive. So let's just make sure we put it at the front of the line. Do I need to rest? Do I need to separate myself from this thing for a little while? Maybe I just need a little bit of breathing room. Maybe I need a break. Those things are just as, and maybe even more important than crossing the shit off your list. Okay? So don't forget that part. What we're going to talk about today, though, is when you know that you need to do something. We've already assumed that we needed rest, or maybe you've already taken the rest and you're coming back into it and you're like, where do I start? What do I do? How do I move forward? And there's a lot of different ways that we could dissect this. But today I want to teach you a very simple question that I taught one of the gals inside the Gutsy Collective to know how to take some kind of step forward. A lot of times we get wrapped up in it being the right next step or the perfect next thing, or you're orchestrating things or moving when we're not inspired. You know, there's just like a lot of moving pieces with this. And sometimes we just need to make it very black and white. So if you're in this space where you've been overwhelmed about what to do next, you're not sure where to dig in, the magic question that I'm going to teach you today is to ask yourself, do I need a lift? Or do I need to offload? Lift or offload? And I'm going to tell you what those two things mean. This is an exercise really rooted in understanding your body and your energy. understanding your energetic capacity, your mental capacity, and sometimes your physical capacity. We tend to run into friction when we're forcing ourselves to do something that our body and or our energy want to do differently in that moment. And then we tie those things to our satisfaction of what we classify as productivity, what we feel good about, what feels like we made a difference that day, or we actually made some movement that day. And if it wasn't enough, then we don't feel like enough, then we're working more. You see this rat race, okay? So the main difference, the high level difference between a lift and an offload is a lift is something that's easy and an offload is something that's deeper. Let's dissect these a little further, okay? So an energetic lift is something that is light on your list. We're looking at all the stuff you've got going on. What is something that is light, that is easy, that if you do it, you still have the satisfaction of knowing that you've made progress, but it didn't require a ton of you. It's not brain work. It's not heavy work. You're not researching. You're not in the trenches of things. It doesn't require you to learn a new system or a program. You're not necessarily documenting systems or processes, unless that's a light thing for you. Sometimes that is for people. This is a thing that doesn't require a ton of you, a ton of your time, your energy, your depth. Sometimes there are just easy peasy things on the list that can get dismissed as, I didn't really make any progress today. I don't feel good about my work today because that seemed too easy. Sometimes there's a little bit of a thread in the background happening here where things have to be hard for them to be real, or for them to be successful, or for them to have any meaning. So we're undoing a little bit of the story here, right? We're saying, hey, you know what? My success gets to be easy. I'm allowed to enjoy my work. I'm allowed to do the easier things and still feel good about myself. Your brain is not hardwired to do the big, heavy work day in and day out for fucking weeks at a time. I mean, it's just not how we are built. It's draining to do the heavier work, the meatier work. And sometimes we need to come up out of the trench. We need to really see things for what they are. And sometimes we just need to do the things that are simple, that don't require such intensity. And honestly, without some of these lighter things, the bigger things can't really happen. Let me give you some examples to help you wrap your head around. By the way, I want you to know that what is a lift to some person might be an offload to another, and vice versa. But just to give this some context, one thing that I'm working on right now is a book. Yes, I'm finally writing a book. It is time. It is the right season. I've gathered all the things that I need. It is time to write the book on Gutsy. And so if you want to follow along with that journey, or you want to be part of the process, go to LauraAura.com/book. And I'm just sharing the nitty gritty behind the scenes of what it's like to write a book. I'm also gathering your stories and extracting some details from you. This is going to be fun. As you can imagine, with this process, there's a lot of moving pieces, and I've never written an official book before, so I am learning a lot of stuff that I don't know. And when I think about the process as a whole, it can get overwhelming, it can get a little daunting, and my imposter syndrome loves to kick in and tell me that, no, I can't do this, basically. That's not true. So when I start to get overwhelmed, I'm like, okay, do I need a lift or an offload? My brain is not always ready to go into the depths of writing or pulling all this information together. But a lift, something that helps me work towards my goal to make progress without having to get into the nitty-gritty details of the book, are things like gathering my notes that I've taken in the past. I'm not reading them. I'm not dissecting them. I'm just saying, hey, they're all over my desk right now. They're in drawers. They're in notebooks. I can't write the book with them being scattered everywhere. So you know what a light activity today is? A lift, something that helps me work towards the book without having to use all of my brain cells, is gathering those notes, pulling them out of the drawers, getting them out of my notebooks, taking the 8,000 pieces of paper that I swear I have and putting them all together. In a moment snapshot, that might not look like it's huge progress. It doesn't feel like, oh, I've conquered the book today, or I know exactly what I'm doing, or I have figured it all out. But you know what it does give me? The satisfaction of knowing that I've done something towards it. I've honored my body to say, I'm not in the space today. I don't have the energetic capacity to really dig into this detail. But you know what I can do today? I can gather some fucking paper. That's actually a way bigger move than what it even appears to be, because without that smaller step, without that lift activity, I can't write the book. It also helps me prepare for the moments when I do need to go deep. And that essentially is what an offload is. This is a larger, meatier part of the process, something that you need to wipe out your schedule. You need to put on the do not disturb. You need to close your email, something that's going to take more of you. This is where you have more mental capacity. You're feeling creative or need to be creative. It's time to take a bigger step. This is something that you need to learn, something that's just going to require a lot more time and or focus. Sometimes it's the thing that we tend to put off because we know it's going to require more of us. But we say, hey, without doing this, I can't do the next thing. Sometimes it's not as fun or maybe as satisfying as doing a lift project, because let's face it, lifts tend to be quick. They tend to be easy, and we can plow through a couple of them if we want to. But an offload is saying like, hey, I may not be accomplishing quantity of things, but I have gone quality. I've gone deeper into something. This is where I've really locked in and produced something that was necessary, a more of a milestone moment in this process. And I'm calling this an offload because we're offloading information. We're offloading something that's requiring more of us. And yes, sometimes part of that process is literally offloading it and saying, hey, I am dissecting what's going on and I'm discovering where I need guidance, where I need support, where I need to delegate something. So quite literally, sometimes you are offloading it to something or someone else, or you're letting go of something. Okay. So just think of the offload as like, I need to go deeper. I need to go quality. Now, two things that we need to watch out for when we're evaluating this. Sometimes we can get caught in the lift because it feels easy. We can get caught in the checklist. We can get caught in the high level easy work. And so just know that if you tie this back to something energetic, okay, you're really evaluating, what do I need today? What feels good in my body? What do I have capacity for? If you start with that evaluation first, then your body's going to guide you towards like, hey, I'm ready to write today. Okay, I need to go there. Even if I'm not feeling inspired or motivated or the weather's not perfect that day, sometimes I'm ready to do the offload stuff. But I can get caught in the lifts because, I can check a bunch of lists. I can feel productive. I can feel high on the idea that I've done a bunch of things. So just be mindful of knowing when it's time to come out of that lift. When am I avoiding going deeper on the things that I really need to work on? And the thing we need to watch in the offload is, when are we just like way too heads down for way too long? Pushing yourself, forcing yourself to do things, not taking breaks, forgetting about your health in this process, right? Like putting yourself on the back burner for the sake of continuing to make progress. Let me give you just a few more examples from some of the gals that I've been working with inside the Gutsy Collective. So one of the common Gutsy moves that women join the Gutsy Collective to make is to go through a divorce. Obviously, a tough transition point. Who do I go to? How do I do this? I'm scared. I don't know what to expect next. I don't know what's going to happen, right? There's a lot of shifts and what ifs that happen in this process. And for several of the women, sometimes the lift activities look like scheduling that first consultation with an attorney, writing down the things that are important to them or that they want to keep through this process, finding out what resources are available to them, maybe through their job or their employment, opening a new bank account. Are these all energetically tied to this bigger shift that's happening? Yes. But these are lighter activities. They're not requiring a ton of emotion. They're not requiring a ton of processing. They are just simply saying, I'm going to take one step towards this. Do any one of these singular tasks finalize the divorce? No. But they're all important steps in making sure that things happen, that things continue to move forward. But in the same breath, at some point, we also have to do the offload work. We have to go have the actual consultation with the attorney. We have to talk to our spouse about what is happening. Sometimes it's a conversation with their loved ones, their kids, their family members to let them know what is happening. Sometimes it's starting to divide things or pack boxes, right? Like those are bigger, meatier. See how that requires more time or emotion? Like we're going deeper into something. But again, without these bigger, meatier pieces, that final outcome can't happen either. It requires both sides of it. And recognizing that, like, hey, sometimes these women are not ready to do that big thing. They're not ready to have that conversation yet, but they've committed to the fact that a divorce is on the horizon. And when that's feeling big or overwhelming, we can just stop and say, what do I have energetic capacity for today? Do I need a lift or am I ready to offload? And trusting yourself in that moment. You can use this tool in all kinds of shifts, right? Like if you think about it from a business context, a lift might be organizing the files that are on your desktop, sending the file that you told somebody 2 days ago that you would send them, cleaning off your physical desk, responding to your DMs on Instagram. Those might be lighter tasks, lifts, things that help you move forward in your business without having to go deep. Whereas the offload, writing content, recording podcast episodes, figuring out how to make the fucking invoice and contract system work, creating a new offer, writing your keynote. Those are deeper projects. Those are things that require more energy, more brain power, more creativity. It all comes back to what do I have the capacity for and honoring it. Because listen, if I try to sit down and force myself to write, when my energetic body is not ready to write this book, I stare at it. I go blank. It's like all of a sudden I forgot everything that I've ever done and every story that I've ever heard. But when I have the right energetic capacity, it pours out of me. It's effortless. And I think that that's one of the things that you can really kind of keep an eye out for is, does it feel like pushing? Am I walking through mud? Am I running through mud? It might be a little sticky at first, as things get moving, but ultimately, like, are you just staring into the abyss? Does it feel like hard ass work? And if so, pull back. What do I have energetic capacity for? Do I need a lift or do I need to offload? And let it be what it is. Listen, only you are going to know what you need in that moment. I can give you this tool. I can share this with you, but at the end of the day, you're the only one that can really evaluate this. There's also no shame in doing the easy thing or what looks easy because you're still making progress. And you know what? Equally, there's no shame in saying, you know what, world, not today. Guess what? People trying to reach me on my phone, not right now. Hey kids, hey husband, hey wife, hey person in my life. I cannot right now. I need this uninterrupted time. I need to step away. I need to go to a coffee shop. Whatever it is that you need to do, there's no shame in saying, I need to go deep, and therefore I need to be invisible to everybody else, at least for a little while. This is a practice of self-trust. This is a practice of honoring your energy, knowing your mental space, knowing what it is that you need in that moment, and then allowing yourself to do it, giving yourself the permission that you don't need, but maybe need the reminder of right now. And when you start doing this, watch how things get easier. Watch how your progress starts to increase. Watch how you get further along than you thought that you were going to be right now. Notice how things start to flow a little bit better. They gel together a little easier. You fight yourself a little less. You start saying, you know what? Maybe this shit actually works. And you know something? Before you know it, the thing that once felt big or scary or impossible just starts to become your reality. So just remember, what do I have energetic capacity for? And do I need a lift or do I need to offload? And let yourself do that. I know I kind of snuck it in there, but I'm writing a book. How freaking awesome. Like I'm just so stoked about this. The book, yes, is about making gutsy moves, making those bold moves that you've been delaying and what it takes to finally make them. And I would be honored if you want to join me kind of behind the scenes. I'm calling this behind the book, where in real time, I'm gathering your stories. There's going to be polls that go up. I'll be sharing some early chapters as things unfold. And of course, you're going to get first dibs on pre-orders and events when it launches. So if you want to be a Gutsy Insider, go to LauraAura.com/book. Put in your email. You'll be on the list. You can also connect with me on all the platforms. My handle is @thatLauraAura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.